Okay, thank you. We are just coming back from executive session, so we've already taken our roll call, and we've done the Pledge of Allegiance. So now we're going to get right into the meeting. But we just want to explain to you that this meeting is being recorded. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and all other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. What basically that means is if you want to you're going to be on camera. If you want to look good, just turn to your best side. So we're going to start right away. And the first thing on our schedule is an appointment from Dave Marvel, Chairman of the Cable Committee. Dave, can you come up, please?
Yes.
This is a recommendation to appoint Madeline Easterday as a member to the Cable Committee.
So Maddie came in last Saturday, and we showed the equipment and everything, and she likes what we do. She likes the challenge, and I think she would make a perfect fit on the Cable Committee. There's a lot of things to learn, and we think everything went well, and we'd like to see if she gets appointed to our board.
Okay, great.
Any questions?
No, I really don't have anything. Thank you for doing this. It's a wonderful task, because I know they're always short-handed, but if David thinks that you're a fit, then so do I. Is any questions from Nicole?
No, I don't have any
Mark,
questions.
do you have any questions?
Are you fully staffed now?
I think, maybe one more?
We're a five-member committee, so currently, if she were to get appointed, we'd have 4 out of 5.
Great.
Is that
But it will be a big help having her on to fill in when people are out and things like that. Or if we're running like especially for the high school, when we hold our town meetings down there. So it's going to be a big help.
Great.
that's very exciting. Is that other vacancy posted on the website?
I think it is. Because
It's pretty much always there.
Yeah, it never goes away, basically,
Awesome.
But, there's a lot to learn, but it's all new equipment. It's all Mac. It's the equipment. It's nice to work with compared to what we had 20 years ago when we first started. So we came a long way. So
Yes.
in the office, it's practically brand new. So we're looking forward to it.
Awesome.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Madeline, do you have any questions for us? No, sir. Great. Okay, is there a motion on the floor?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Madeline Easterday as a member of the Cable Committee.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you for coming
Welcome.
in.
Congratulations.
You don't have to stay any longer. Tom Ferry, you're up next, sir. Oh, yes, I'll do that. Thank you. I forgot about that. This is Paul Patrico for an Eagle Scout presentation. Paul, just give us a second. Sure. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, Tom.
Yes, as you can see, I'm here for a few things this evening on the agenda. One of them is, well, actually, a few of them are kind of fun and exciting. But we don't have an opportunity that often to have an Eagle Scout offering a project that affects our community. We have a young gentleman here that proposes, it might be just another observation stand to some people, but it has a unique vantage point on our town property down at Broad Cove. And I won't steal too much of his thunder, but if you would, I'd like to ask him to come up here and
Sure.
have his
Paul,
presentation.
now's your
before
chance.
us.
But
Hi, my name is Paul Patricio. I'm a Life Scout working towards my Eagle rank. I'm in Troop 45. So for my Eagle project, I decided to build the view platform, the nature view platform. This will be constructed on the Broad Cove Nature Trail, off the Broad Cove Nature Trail. There will be no digging or disturbance of the ground, and it will not interfere with the marshlands. Yeah, the wetlands. This structure is being placed near a couple other view platforms, but this one is placed strategically so that there is no sight of cars or houses. It's just nature, and there's almost a mile-long range of sight, so you can enjoy the beauty of the marshland or the wetlands. And this project will also be adjustable because it won't be like secured in place. So this view platform will be able to be moved if necessary, or if anything comes up, it can be moved out of the way. Yeah.
Sure. That's cool. Thank you for doing that. I know it's gonna get a lot of use because, we've been down that way before and
Yeah.
I've seen people, just clamoring to get out there. You said it's gonna be movable. Is that something that you think because of ice or is it not an issue?
So the platform is going to be placed on pyramid support, like base blocks, and if anyone decides that there's a better spot for it, or if it's in the way of anything,
Yep.
it can always be moved. It's not secured to the ground.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I am not like designing the structure. I'm recycling the old structure designs from Mr. Furnett, and I received his build instructions and the material lists, which I have. So I will be using that for the project.
Great. It's an awesome thing to become an Eagle Scout, as you're probably aware by now. I was a Boy Scout, and I never made it to Eagle Scout. I couldn't handle it. But thank you for doing this and for becoming an Eagle Scout. It's one of the things that when I was in Boy Scouts, and one of the troop leaders had said to me, there was a Eagle Scout who was on American Greed, that show. I don't know if you've ever watched it or anybody has. And one of the first things they said was an Eagle Scout was convicted of whatever he was convicted of at the time. So you're always going to be known as an Eagle Scout first, which I think is tremendous.
Right.
And thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Nicole, do you have anything you want to add?
I just had a question. So in regards to like planning for future upkeep, what's the plan for that? Like if it needs any maintenance or anything like that?
So the materials we're using is pressure treated, and they're meant for like outdoor. So the structure should be fine, like after years of weather. And if the surrounding area like starts to change and it needs to be moved, it can always be moved. And I mean, I'll personally keep an eye on it. If anything gets brought up, we can always make changes and fixes. So.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mark, do you have something you want to add?
Thank you for choosing Dayton to do your project. That's awesome. How did you choose this project? What made you interested in this?
So this trail is actually very close to my house. I grew up on this trail, so this trail is, very important to me. And I love these. I've seen these view platforms. I've been on them. I love the view that they offer and the peacefulness that they offer. So I think it'd be nice to have another one in this certain spot, and I think a lot of people would enjoy it. It'd bring more attention to that section of the trail, and yeah, I'd like it.
Cool.
Just one more question. More for Tom. Would you be willing, or are you willing to just put Lisa Caledonia in the loop on this project, just so she's aware of it?
She already has.
Perfect. Okay.
That's part of
perfect.
why I'm involved, to make sure all those things are checked off before you have an opportunity to consider it.
Very good.
Well, sir, thank you.
Thank you very
And
much.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks. You mean you want to hear me?
I think so. We Ralph would sign the product to get the see it, but we still need a vote from the board.
The selectmen should approve the project, and then any times it comes forward, I could sign off.
Just sign off on it. So this is a review,
motion.
discuss, and act then. Okay. Sure. Then is there a motion on the floor, please, to accept this project?
I'll make a motion to approve the Eagle Scout presentation by Paul Patricio as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations again, Paul.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom, you here for the cemetery as well?
Yes.
This is a review, discuss, and act. Recommendation to appoint Kenneth Pacheco as member of the Cemetery Commission. Does everybody know Ken?
Absolutely.
I think I've met him.
Okay. Yeah. I have no concerns at all, unless you do it, which you're probably not.
We have work waiting for him.
All right.
He's a gentleman. That's great. So, is there a motion on the floor to appoint Ken Pacheco?
I'll make a motion to appoint Kenneth Pacheco as member of the Cemetery Commission.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Oh,
Hi, Ken.
thanks.
Again, this is a review, discuss, and act. Operator Class 1 position, recommendation to hire Dennis Hazel.
Yes. So as you know, we had a vacancy come up in our department, and we have advertised with the help of Ms. Brady. We did interview 3 people. The one that came out on top, the most qualified and best fit for our department at this time would be a gentleman that worked with us for almost 14 years in the past. So I'd like to introduce Dennis Hazel. He's here with his family.
Hi, Dennis.
Hello.
So that's what we're proposed for you tonight to act on.
Okay, great. I have no questions. Obviously, if he's coming as a recommendation from you, I have no issues with it at all. And Nicole, do you have any questions?
I just want to say I'm thrilled that you've decided to come back. I know you've spent a lot of years here, and it says a lot to have you back, so thank you.
Brock?
Similar comments. Thank you
Okay,
for coming back.
Dennis, it's a great community, obviously, you're well aware of that, and you came highly recommended to be hired back from Tom. And we just appreciate your eagerness and willingness to come back, and thank you for that. Oh, you're welcome. So is there a motion on the floor, please?
I'll make a motion to recommend Dennis Hazel as an operator Class 1 for the Highway Department.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we're gonna move on to announcements.
Thank you,
sir.
you guys, and you have a beautiful family. All right. Okay, you said announcements?
Yes, please.
All right, they're getting longer.
Yes, they are. Let's take the time when there's none.
Yes. Highway Department public notice, there is a town-wide parking ban in effect from November 1st, 2024 to April 1st, 2025. No person shall allow any vehicle to remain in the street as to obstruct snow removal. The Friends of Dayton Public Library will be hosting Meet the Candidate Night at the Dayton Middle School. This will be this coming Monday, March 31st, 2025 at 7 p.m. The Open Space Committee will be organizing a town-wide cleanup on April 12th, 2025, with a rain date of April 19th, 2025. They are looking for volunteers to assist in these cleanup efforts. If you have any suggestions of any areas that need to be cleaned up, you can contact Jonathan Gales at ada@dayton-mass.gov. The Dayton Council on Aging is host location for a free tax aid program that AARP Foundation offers each year. This program focuses on assisting older adults with low to moderate income. Please call the Dayton Council on Aging to learn more and book your free appointment. The Dayton Lions Club Food Bank will be held next Saturday, April 12th, 2025, and it is located at the lower level of Town Hall. Lastly, on Saturday, April 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Drug Enforcement Administration will coordinate with the Dayton Police for a one-day collaboration of prescription drug take-back event. That's all I got.
Okay,
I have a comment on public
Sure.
info. Would you mind adding the annual town election info for our next meeting?
Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh my God, you're just putting more in there?
I love hearing them.
sure. Before we continue, I made a huge mistake. We forgot the moment of silence, and I'm embarrassed for that. But can we please just have a moment of silence for 2 neighbors that we lost this week? Robert Bradshaw and James Leonard. Thank you very much, and again, I apologize. This is the first of two public inputs that we have for this evening. Does anybody want to come up? Lenny? How you doing?
Good evening.
Couple of things. I'm on the Open Space Committee,
Okay.
and we voted that it be on April 19th.
I thought that was the case.
Yes.
But it was printed as a rain date for the 12th, I mean, for the 19th, because the 12th is,
Oh,
The election.
the election.
So it was going to be the 19th and the rain date the following
oh, with the
Saturday.
Saturday,
20,
the
Okay.
26th.
All right, let's make that
Okay.
correction now then.
all right.
The Open Space Committee will organize a town cleanup day of open spaces in town on April 19th with the rain day of the 26th.
26th.
They are looking for volunteers to assist in these cleanup efforts. If anyone who has a suggestion of a particular area to be cleaned up besides my yard, can contact Jonathan Gale at ada@dayton-ma.gov. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Lenny.
Thank you. An update from the school department budget hearing of last night. The school committee did make some cuts. The increase went from 4.1 to 3.78. Chairman Andrade also said that the committee would be willing to discuss a transfer of surplus funding to the town side, so the legislature provide additional funding to Chapter 70. And with that being said, it would be ideal if the Board of Selectmen, if they haven't already done so, would write or reach out to the area legislators to advocate, one, additional Chapter 70 funding from the governor's 1%, and also a discussion about changing the formula for Chapter 70 funding. Currently, the formula favors the larger communities, the gateway communities, at the expense of smaller towns, and in particular, regional towns. What makes it more difficult for the school department is that the transportation costs, obviously larger because it's a regional district, are receiving less funding from the state. And also, special ed services are receiving less funding. That's across the board, so it's not just Dayton and Rehoboth that are affected with it. It was noted that striving to stay on the path set in their goal to 2030 plan was important. And that, in attending the budget hearings, did not get enough discussion. One of the biggest problems we're all aware of, and we've heard criticism in social media, is the number of students who are leaving the district. Increase and better quality in the CTE program brings additional Chapter 74 funding, because that funding formula provides more money than Chapter 70. The more money that the school district can get from the state, the less money they have to ask for the town. And right now, that's a big problem, because under the governor's budget, small cities and towns like Dayton and Rehoboth are being shortchanged. That Goal 2030 plan also addresses the issues of retention. And that's important to the Dayton side. The more students from Dayton Middle to go to Dayton Rehoboth potentially means lower tuition that the town side has to pay to BA and BP. In addition, if we can convince many of those middle school students to go into Chapter 74, it becomes a win-win for the town side and the school side, because it brings additional funding. I know at times the process has been a little contentious, especially in social media. But and it was mentioned in discussion too, I would hope over the next several weeks that the Board of Selectmen will have more discussion for the public of the plan. You know, we know about the budget, but we don't know the thought process, and the public doesn't know the thought process to get to the final numbers. Are there multiple solutions to the budget crisis? And there is a budget crisis. Everyone understands that. But how do we handle that? And I would imagine, hearing things around town, that there are several different options available. And I'd be curious if the Board of Selectmen would be willing to share that with the public and get their input in which direction they would like to see the town go to balance their budget. Okay. Thank you.
The budget meeting for us is the 9th, which is the next selectmen's meeting. Thank you. Anyone else at this time? Hi, Nancy.
This isn't a big presentation.
Okay.
A couple of things. I was at the budget meeting last night, too. And I will say, I was happy to hear the superintendent provide information to the public about special needs children. I had brought this up at the advisory committee meeting when we met with the subcommittee of the school committee. And he was not very receptive at that point. And I said to him, it's important that people understand that we have obligations for our students, some students, up to the age of 22. And I asked about residential placements, and I asked about out-of-district placements. I said, people need to understand it's not only the students who attend our schools and our local collaboratives, but these are other expenses. And last night, he did talk about that, so I was glad that he did bring that up, because people, if you're not in the business, you don't understand what the requirements are. And people think that when students leave high school, there's no obligation. That's not true.
Right.
It depends on the circumstance. So I was happy he provided that information because, as I said, he was not receptive when I brought it up for informational purposes, but he did talk about it last night. So something I wanted to tell you about, as you know, I'm looking for photographs for next year's calendar.
Already?
Oh, yeah, I've already got a few. But I got in touch with the people at the EPA that I deal with, and last year we sent them the calendar. So I said to them, kind of late, but would you like to have calendar? And the response back was from Michelle Vudo, who replaced Newton Tedder. He's moved on to enforcement. She's now in permitting. We'd like to have 4. So there are 2 people with her. There's Newton Tedder in enforcement, and there's Thelma Murphy, who is the person in charge of the program for all of New England. So they're all going to get copies. So I just had Tom sign a letter from the Stormwater Committee, because in here I've got calendars, but the other thing I'm sending them is, this is the coloring book that we had BP print for us. And
Right.
these were like pennies.
Yes.
It's coloring and activities, and it's about Thurston. And we bought little boxes of 4 crayons each, like they give them at the restaurants. So we gave these out for the first time at the Arts Festival. All the ones I had went, and we got another batch printed because, as I say, they're dirt cheap. But as you can see, it's all sorts of things that students can do on their own. We wanted to get the attention of little kids relative to the importance of stormwater, without getting into the heavy science and stormwater.
Right.
So, this is what they came up with. This is something that parents can do with their children. We ended up with 2 blank pages. So we said, write a story about Thurston. And we said, draw pictures about what you wrote. So anyhow, as you can see, every page says EPA. We got this off their website for free.
Cool.
Printed it, took it to BP, made those couple of changes, put our logo on it. So I'm sending in 4 of these with the calendars because Michelle said they want to use these as examples of public
Oh,
education.
that's great.
And so I just wanted you to know
Sure.
that, once again, we're sending this in and they're going to the EPA office. Where they go from there,
That's all
who
right.
knows? But anyhow, they have been very, I won't say accommodating, very helpful in cooperating with us from day one. And I think it's an important relationship that we need to keep. I don't think anyone wants to get on the bad side of the EPA. But anyhow, so that's what this is about, okay?
Awesome.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
I love to
Oh.
think that they have our calendars up in their office.
It's funny, I happened to go to West Bridgewater to Mass Ioneer last year, and I left a calendar there. And you'd be surprised at the number of people in Dayton that used that office and saw that calendar and said, hey, that's our town. Where'd you get the calendar?
That's cool.
So anyhow, so again, anyone with pictures,
Yep.
they can be black and white. They don't have to be current. Preferably they are horizontal, because when they're vertical, we have to kind of spread them out to fit
Sure.
the calendar. So, but we'll take any. No one submitted black and white, but we'll take them. ngoulart@comcast.net. No buildings, no people, especially no children. Just need to know location and who took the picture.
Awesome.
So I'll put them in the folder and we'll go through them when we get ready to plan the next calendar.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else for public input at this time? Anybody online? No, I guess not. Okay, then we're gonna move to town administrator's report.
Thank you. I know, again, this is my first budget season with you, and I appreciate the input you've been giving me, and I know, at the next meeting, the selectmen will be putting forward their recommendations. So I just want to give you an overview of the budget, of what it's looking like and where we are at today. So as I introduced, back in December, I introduced the one page. See, it's a nice snapshot of the budget. I went online, I saw I changed the number for ER. I can hold it. Yeah, that's the number that was presented last time, 13,401,910. Just to give you some ideas of what we're looking at right now, it looks like we're in the plus about $94,000. Right? Why are we that? It's always a moving target. But some of the things we did, Serena and I took a look at it. With the decrease in the DR school budget, and we took a look at the snow and ice. We originally had it at $200,000. It's kind of looking that will come in closer to 150. Right now it's at 130. We don't anticipate it going much higher than that. So, but again, we're still being conservative. We're looking at 150, and as a result, we're looking at right now at the plus side of about $92,000. Additionally, I know that the Finance Committee expressed some concern, and I know some of you expressed some concern in using free cash. So we are reducing our dependence on free cash from the 471 to 371. So we're going to take at the next slides. I'm going to show you what we did. But I just want to give a quick overview of where we're at with that. So, any questions before I go on?
Behind that white thing.
It's not a question of you, a question of Mr. Hall. You had mentioned that there were funds that Mr. Andrade wanted to give back to the...
What Mr. Andrade said, that if there are additional funding provided by the state.
Yep.
I think it's at the bottom.
And
That
that's
is not
included in this budget number?
anticipated revenue.
See the
Right.
little FY '26, I see it.
That would be surplus revenue
Ryan,
Right.
it's not in-
that he
Right
would
there.
be willing to come
No,
back
that's-
to the town
Okay, that's
Is
it.
that it?
and return it to the town.
And how much are we talking about?
Oh, I don't know.
I have no idea, okay. All right, thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt your presentation, Ralph.
No. I just had to, not a problem. I just had to find it. So this is sort of we're gonna have this as a, as a recap as to what's going on. As you know, the budget timeline. We're already in March. You did your joint meetings with the finance committee. Next up in April, you're gonna be putting forward your recommendations, and then in May, you guys meet again to reconvene to jointly discuss the submittal of the budget, and then the proposed operating budget will go to the annual town meeting on June 9th. So, as you know, we've been trying to be very, very conservative in our budgeting. And I've told you, I know you're getting sick of hearing it from me, but I have to give all the credit to the department heads and what they put forward for budgets to help Dayton get through this budget season. We had a very cautious approach in '26. We're in the fourth year of BP. We got a couple of breaks in the financing. The BP project, we thought it would be about $660,000, but for this year, we got a little lucky. It's $512. And also the Aggies is $209. So together that puts us at about $720,000. We identified the ability to make projections, and we have a net increase from last year of $952,000. We went up in revenue $885 last year, but it's $952. Where does that come from? Net proposition, Prop 2.5, we get to increase the tax base by 2.5%, so that's $566,000. New growth, we're still being a little conservative, but we have it at $250,000. So where else are we? License and permitting, we're projecting that at $275,000. It's relatively flat based on the economic downturn. We got based on the governor's budget, we have an increase in $27,000 on the cherry sheet. We're decreasing the excise tax projections. There was a high in 2003. There was like pent-up demand for, especially for the purchase of automobiles, and now the cars are older. People aren't buying as brand new cars, so it's kind of it's in a downward slope, but it's probably kind of looking as leveling off as the pre-pandemic to where we're at now. So we're looking at $165,000. Also to help with the budget and to help with specifically with the fire department, we're taking an additional $20,000 from the ambulance fund. Usually we take $455,000. This year we're taking $475,000 to help the fire department with the purchase and upkeep of equipment. And something we have this year that we haven't had, an increase in trash bag revenue. And again, we're being conservative increase. And we're looking at a $75,000 increase in trash bag revenues.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just one question that pertains to future. Aggie capital debt will only go down from the 209?
It's going to be,
It's
it's
not
going
this year, I'm
no, I get it. It's going to be relatively flat at 209. It really is dependent on how many students we have
Okay.
at this point.
Yeah.
Where The BP debt is going to increase for the next 3 years and then level off.
Yeah.
Level off, yeah.
Okay. And my next question is the governor's budget. When does the legislative body vote on that?
I'll find
Okay.
out for you on
Yeah.
that, because I know they're going into session. I don't know when they're gonna final.
So the
when they're gonna
27K is a shot in the dark?
It's our best guess.
Okay.
That presented.
Yeah, that's okay. And the trash bag increase, I just want everybody to know, it's been 4, maybe 5 years since we've
Yeah.
had an increase. And technically, it should have increased every year as trash has gone up and the cost of bags have gone up, that we as a town have just absorbed.
Yeah.
It's not just because we want to increase revenue, we're just trying to maximize the cost that the town receives, not the town receives. Okay, Nicole, anything? Mark, anything?
No, good job.
All right, well, we still got more to go. So just a little definition on zero-based budgeting, and how we, the philosophy we use going forward with that. And, just budgets represent a plan for municipal and department operations for the fiscal year. Rationalizes proposed budget requests and allows department heads, the BOS and Finance Committee to more clearly evaluate the appropriation needs when building a budget. Okay, so an expenses overview. So, the proposed, there was an increase over last year, total increase of $896,000. And a lot of that is, outside of the town's control. Obviously, the education budget is a big number. The total increase is $734,000. And then just the capital assessments update, DR assessment increased from DNR, increased $491,000 from the previous year. The increase in, also we have the county retirement, that went up $51,000. And here's the thing that's a little sticky, so it's the trash recycling transfer station. Initially, we had it at an increase of $30,000. I'm getting some initial numbers where that increase might be $50,000. So I will have those numbers to you, by Monday, so we could start thinking about it.
That is from Borges now?
That's from, Borges. Believe it or not, the increase, a majority of the increase came from wages he has to pay his drivers based on the prevailing wage. Because a ruling came down that everyone who services the town has to be on the prevailing wage. So we got them from the state, I passed them on to Mr. Borges, and that's it's a significant increase. And then health insurance costs, we're lucky, it only went up $111,000. A lot of communities, as the slideshow, our increase for group health insurance was 8.2%. A lot of communities were facing double that. So.
Would you be willing to send that ruling with the prevailing wage? I'd be
Yeah.
interested to read more about it.
No, I will.
Thank you.
Okay, and again, this I had, again, I passed this out at the finance, at the joint meetings, just to give an idea of sort of as we begin to plan our financial future, looking out to FY 30. One of the things that's really glaring without any significant increases, just the debt we carry for BP and BA. If you look at it, in fiscal year 29, that number is projected to be $900,000, but our increase with Prop 2.5 and estimated new growth doesn't even cover that. So, so we could start, thinking it out. Next, so if we didn't use free cash, we would be facing a budget deficit of approximately $269,000. And that's, if we were just, we're plus 92, so if it was zero, it would be like the $269,000. So just to let you know how my intention of applying the free cash, usually free cash is a one-time revenue. It should be applied to one-time expenses. So we broke it out as best as we could. To officially $150,000 to snow and ice, $50,000 to reserve fund, $25,000 to stabilization fund, $10,000 to OPEB. So those are the one-time fees. But we are going to put forward approximately $136,000 to the operating budget. As the previous slide shows, we have to start thinking, how do we close that gap? So, a few things to put forward to, which I need to start getting direction from this Board of Selectmen is, one, the waste reduction, work with the Waste Reduction Committee. Do we explore the implementation of a per household user fee structure for trash? Trash represents about $800,000 in our budget. It's going to be more than that, but that's the number. The other thing, or do we reintroduce the debt exclusion to cover our capital obligations? Do we introduce a Prop 2.5 override to meet our operational needs? Or lastly, do we develop a service and personnel reduction plan if necessary? So really, those are our primary options in meeting the budget shortfalls as we go forward. And if you have any questions,
It's not a rosy outlook.
no, it's not. But we'll figure it out.
Borrowing from free cash, not borrowing.
Using free cash.
is scary. I understand it's a one-time source of revenue to cover expense, but it's not something that we can rely on.
No.
And it just puts us back in the hole. Come next year, what do we do?
So yes, next year we'll be facing the same predicament unless we get some tremendous new growth of revenues, just go through. If we just continue to move on what we currently have, we have to be hopeful. If to be proactive, those things that I mentioned. Either do we look at trash, do we look at a debt exclusion, do we look at override, or do we look at service and personnel reductions?
Can you talk more about the pay per user fee?
The pay per user fee, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't put a lot of effort into it just yet, but I know the notes that I have been seeing and talking to other communities, it would be, generally speaking, a quarterly payment to the individuals down at Dayton. So they would still be trash pickup, but for that trash pickup, you would have, you would pay a quarterly fee the same way you pay with your taxes. The thing with the user fee, you can choose not to use it, and then you don't pay that user fee. I know there's some thoughts as to the user fee. Do we give it a senior citizen discount? There's a lot of elements to it. So, it was just brought up last week. I did a quick survey and see what was presented before. So a lot of it is the same of what you heard, but it is primarily still trash pickup, but a user fee. And how do we identify the users? I haven't worked out the details on that yet.
That was my next question.
Yeah. but I think as we move forward, as we explore these options, I will do presentations on them, and so you could, determine which way we want to go. If we're planning for next year and beyond, we really should have a plan in place by July.
Okay. Obviously, you don't know all the details I don't think the Waste Reduction Committee has anything concrete. It just, everything is kind of, on the table, which it has to be. Okay.
Is that something on the table too? The user fees an option, but also perhaps, I think the town at one time did recycling every other week. I think that
Right,
was
we
fairly
did.
recently,
Yeah.
actually,
A couple years ago, they went to every week.
every week.
I don't know how much of a difference that will make with the cost from Borges. We pay more
Yeah,
to
I
have
mean,
recycling done.
the recycling, it's the same. You take
Right.
the truck out, and then it's based on tonnage. So, but the recycling fees, I could look into it.
That would be
see if
great.
that, yeah.
Is it one truck that comes out now with the split trash to like 2/3 of the truck and then 1/3
That's what
recycling?
I'm led to believe and
Yeah.
understand. That's what Pete Borges has said. I haven't seen him in action. I watch him outside my window. They pick the trash up across the street. So
Okay. So I don't know if there's any kind of savings with going back to every other week, because you'll still have the same yield. But if there's a cost to having it done every week, I think we should certainly look at going back to every other week.
mhm.
It's a slight inconvenience, but it's worth, if there's money to save there, I think it's worth the inconvenience.
And the third thing, if we're looking at trash, is you have to offer recycling, but maybe just at the transfer station.
Yes, that has come up. My only concern with that was, what kind of hours are you going to operate at the transfer station? Is it still gonna be the same 2 days, or we're going to have an expense of including, another second or third, another day, or even possibly a second day? So there's gonna be cost involved with that.
Right.
But it doesn't change, again, the yield that we send back to the state, not the state, but to the, dumping station.
So I think it would, right? Like, it would be, I think a lot less people would utilize it at the transfer station.
Well, the thing with trash is, we are mandated by the state to have a certain percentage of trash, not trash,
Recycle.
recycling.
Yeah.
And I think they audit on an average of maybe you can help me, Lenny, 13, or Tom, every 13 loads or something is the average, where the state, is it 7, where the state audits the trash, make sure that we are recycling. I know that's a fact, but Tom, do you know how often that happens?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, to make sure that we are a recycling community, the state audits the trash as it gets dumped, to make sure there's not more recycling in the trash than it should be.
Right.
So, to have people just recycle into the trash saves us money, because the tonnage for trash removal is less than what recycling is. I would hate to be fined by the state for not cooperating with
Right.
what the requirements are. I'm not sure what those fines would be. But, we can look into that more.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay, on to permit link.
Oh, okay, permit link, when we had the discussion about the PAC meeting, East Caledonia brought up permit link. For each department to use online permitting, the modules for that would be in excess of $10,000. So if you're looking for planning, if you're looking for zoning, if you're looking for conservation, to do electronic permitting, it's expensive. I think what has happened, and I think a more effective use of the tool, what we have, is that those permitting departments, zoning, planning, and conservation, health, have authorization to review permits and sign off on them electronically. I think what has happened, due to to the turnover, that has kind of fell by the wayside, so I'm having conversations with Jim Aguirre to bring that up, and then to reintroduce it, to start giving, Liz, permissions. Matt will review it and sort of say, okay, you can sign off on it. So what happens is, when a permit comes into the building department, they should forward it to all the applicable departments. Does this need, this need a septic? Does this need to be reviewed by conservation? Does this need a special permit? Does this need a waiver? Or, so that's done more by word of mouth now. We have the capability of doing that. So, at our next PAC meeting, we're going to develop a plan to make sure everybody's just doing doing the electronic approvals, to know where to go, to look to know where to go, to look at the permits, and see if anything in their permitting field applies to it, and can they sign off on it and just move it so it could get moved forward swiftly and efficiently. So I just want to give an update on that, because I know it was brought up. It would be nice to have electronic permits, but right now it's a little costly. But I think we do have a tool in place that's being underutilized, and we have to maximize that use.
Is it in anyone's budget right now for next year?
To what?
No.
Well, everybody has access to Permit Link.
Right.
But
There's an expense to join.
We have a number of authorized users.
Okay.
So we have that. We have that in place. What I said, the use, the ability to include a module to have like a separate, so you could do all your permitting online. Never use a paper permit if you didn't want to, for the planning, for zoning, for for that would be about $10,000 for each department.
Right.
So.
Okay.
So.
And no one has that in the budget for, okay.
No.
Did you mention there might be a grant for that?
Well, the Public Health Excellence Grant was doing something with,
The
but
thing,
I don't know what it
yeah,
was.
They had a grant, but it wouldn't be as efficient because it wasn't to go towards Permit Link. It was to go towards a different
Was it
vehicle.
another system?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes you have that. Then that becomes a difficulty in and of itself. We
Yeah,
use
you
a
can't
different
have your own, you can't be an island, you all have to do
No,
the same
yeah.
thing, so, okay.
Is conservation on that? They have viewing access?
They have viewing access. We want to make sure everybody has the ability to look at and sign off on it, so they do have viewing access. And to me, so sometimes you need a quick tutorial. How do you go through it and get all the elements of it? So.
Awesome. I have a different question on the town administrator's report, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Thanks. The Zoom policy, is that something that's gonna come up in a future meeting, just amending the Zoom policy?
We will. I know we brought it up. We should put. We'll put it on the next
The next
meeting or so.
agenda.
Yeah. We'll have.
I know there's a
yeah.
lot going on in the budget.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
takes priority,
yeah.
so thank
So
you.
we've been kind of doing it, but we'll make it official.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
On to Selectmen's reports. I just want to make the announcement that I will not be here for the ninth meeting, but I will be here on Zoom. It's a regular, the typical meeting, but we are discussing budgets. And to me, it's very important that I be here, but unfortunately I can't. But like I said, I will do it on Zoom.
Just real quick, so Monday I was invited to ride South Coast Rail with our state rep invited me, Justin Thurber. It was opening day. It was great because he tried to pick someone from each of his districts. Unfortunately, there was nobody available from Swansea, but there were two folks from Somerset, the town administrator, the chair of the economic committee. So I got to spend some time with them, maybe some people that I usually wouldn't get to have, talk with. So it was nice that he brought our communities together for that event, and I loved it. It was great. It was really exciting.
Cool. So I think the governor was there at that.
Yeah, and the lieutenant governor rode on our train, and then the governor was in Fall River, and she rode on that one, and then we all met in Taunton for the big
Yeah.
celebration, so
Nice.
it was nice.
Mark, do you have anything at this time?
I don't.
Okay. Then we're gonna move on to old business. This is a review, discuss, and act, Board of Selectmen's regular meeting schedule.
We just want to put this forward again, so you can see the schedule, and I know we have potential town meeting date, but it is, we are cementing it, we cemented it for June 9th. So,
June 9th.
yeah.
Again, this was a review, discuss, and act, so is there a motion on the floor to accept the regular meeting schedule unless somebody has another question?
I'll make a motion to accept the Board of Selectmen regular meeting schedule and to amend the town meeting date to June 9th.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
New business, again, a review, discuss, and act, the county flag display request. Nancy, I think you have something on this, please?
So just to recap for the public, we had a request from Mr. Costa, the superintendent director at Bristol Aggie, asking for a Dayton town flag. And as you know, there are only two in existence. One of them's hanging behind you, and the other one is in the Hall of Flags at the State House. So I got in touch with Bristol Plymouth. Unfortunately, they can't print cloth that big. So Aggie School put me in touch with the banner company, the flag company they use, and I talked to them. And you should have a picture there of what it's going to look like. The flag is, I'll call it indoor, outdoor, good quality nylon, and it's something that will last. I am trying to get the vector file from the family of the person who actually created that. When I did the anniversary book in 2012-13, she lent it to me. I gave it to BP, and they used it. That's the cover of the anniversary book. They gave it back, and I returned it to her. They didn't keep the file. And unfortunately, although Mr. Ferry took pictures of that, they can't use it at the company because actually there are wrinkles showing. So I sent an email to the sister of the lady who created that, asked her if she still got the file, and I'm waiting to hear. If I can't get that file, there's an additional cost of $45. I think it's $154 for the flag. That's an additional cost. Now, in the course of discussing this with Tom Ferry, we thought it would be a good idea to actually order 3 flags. One that would go to the Aggie School. One that we could fly outside of Town Hall. And maybe as part of the 250th anniversary of the country, we could have a flag raising, and maybe the sister, and I know there's more than one sister still alive because one graduated with me. And the other flag could be kept for ceremonial occasions. So I contacted the Historical Commission and Parks and Rec. And Historical Commission's gonna put it on their agenda to see if they're willing to pay for one of these. Parks and Rec, he offered to pay for it. And I said to him, I'm not soliciting contributions because that's gonna happen next year when we start to raise money for the celebration. So I'm not asking for money now. I'm just asking you to look at your budget to see if you've got any money. So I haven't heard back from them yet because they've got meetings coming up. I have not asked about a group discount or a quantity discount, and I may be able to do something there. So everything that we have right now is what you have. I'm waiting to hear from the sister, who had the file, and, I think it's kind of something that's cherished, so I have the feeling she's probably still got it. I don't think she would have destroyed it.
No.
But that's where we are, so I'll give you a progress report as this moves along. But in any case, we're looking at a minimum of one flag at $154 for the school.
Yeah.
So,
And then possibly another 45.
yes, if we have to do that.
Yep.
So we'll see how it all comes out. It would be nice if we could get the 3 flags, because then we'd have those flags for ceremonial purposes.
Sure. I think it's embarrassing that their home community doesn't have a flag up at their school, unlike other communities that do.
Mm.
I know they service more than just us, but we're
Right.
their hosts. So,
Right,
I
right.
think it's a great idea.
And, yeah, it would be nice to have it, and, certainly the recognition. And, I think, I don't know how many people have actually been to the Hall of Flags, but I gotta tell you, every time I go there, I have to go look for it, because there's so many flags. But I know now it's on the upper level, and I have to start at a certain corner and say, all right, where is it? But, it's nice to see it there,
Sure.
you know, so that's
Well,
great.
thank you very much.
All right, so I'll have an update for you.
Through the chair, just to let you know, Nancy, we were looking at our budget, the town administrator's budget, and, professional development. I'm not going to any more MMA for the rest of the year, so, we could pick up a nice chunk of that, so, at
Okay.
least 2 flags, possibly the 3.
The reason I asked, after Tom and I were talking about it, and he was talking about it'd be nice to get 3, because we would have a use for them. And the reason I reached out to them, thinking that they are committees that would be involved with use of these flags. It's just not for the Board of Selectmen or something we're gonna stick in a closet.
Right.
There'll be a use for them. And maybe the flag won't fly every day outside of Town Hall, but during certain times of the year and special events, it can be raised. And the significance of it, maybe Veterans Day, maybe Memorial Day, who knows?
Right.
So that it's something important. I checked with some communities when the request was made, and when I called Rehoboth, I said, did you guys get a request for a flag for the Aggie School? They said, yes. I said, where did you get it from? They said, the town's safe. I said, oh. They said, we only had 1 spare, we never used it, so we gave it to them.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, that's not happening.
Yeah.
We got, that one, as a matter of fact, has been periodically taken down and taken to the middle school so they could hang it during the graduation at the middle school.
Yeah.
Because we've had a few bare spots up there at times, and people say, where'd the flag go? Oh, it's
Right.
coming back, it's coming
Sure.
back. So, anyhow, I'll give you an update.
Yeah.
We'll stay on it.
Absolutely, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Mark.
I'm good.
It looks like, the school said they would pay for this. Am I reading this right? Like, obviously for the one, they're not gonna pay for all of them, but the email said if there was any cost involved, they would be prepared to cover the necessary.
So we might get one out of it.
This was the email from
Derek
Superintendent
Costa?
Costa, yeah. So I definitely think we should take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I agree.
And even if we get a partial payment from here and a partial from there.
Yeah, adds up. Great. Okay, I'll continue with new business, and again, a review, discuss, and act renewal of FP2 licenses for uses or oil sales for Taunton Yacht Club.
Leanne reviewed them, and they're good to go.
Everything's in?
Yep.
Any questions, guys?
I don't think so.
I don't.
I haven't looked through yet.
again, this was a review, discuss, and act, so is there a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of the FB2 license for Reese's Auto Sales, 556 Somerset Ave, time Yacht Club, 2125 Water Street.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded, any discussion? All those in, all
Aye.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Review, discuss, and act facilities request, and there's a number of them. Assuming everything is in, but.
Well,
Go ahead.
not quite. All of the people doing the request are nonprofits, so the fees are waived, number one. Everybody supplied their insurance with the exception of Taunton Area Vietnam Vets Cruise Night. It's not that they put in for it, they just, their insurance company was not open today and they didn't have it, but they will have it, so, before the event. The event is in June, so they'll be getting it to us, so if you want to wait or approve with an amendment.
What exactly are we doing with fees? I know you had mentioned it before.
Nonprofit or not, I think we should treat everybody the same, and we are not in a position to waive fees anymore.
I think we have I asked Leanne if we have the policy to waive fees for nonprofits. We can amend that, you know?
How much is the fee?
It's 75.
$75.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like, I mean, that's a lot of money for some, but I thought it was like hundreds of dollars or something.
There's paperwork involved that, like trash, there's a user fee. There's not abuse of the grounds because nobody abuses it, but there's use of the town facilities that comes out with a cost to us, however minimal, there is a cost involved. So if we want to amend it and include nonprofit now is the time to do it.
I agree.
Yeah, I think we should definitely add that to another agenda.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got a question, if I may?
sure.
So the Dyton Lions Club, you know, we do two events a year. A lot of that money goes back into the town. So whatever the elementary school needs, the library, we're there to help them. So it's almost like you don't give us a fee, but we give a lot of money back. Like we bought, for instance, like the North End Playground, we supplied all the tables, picnic tables and the chairs. So I'm just asking, please think about it, because we do give back greatly from the Lions Club to the town. So even though it's gonna cost you a fee, you avoid the fee, you still gotta make up.
Right. I'm not saying we should make an exception today. Maybe it should be on a case by case. No?
I think,
You think
not
straight
that
across?
I'm saying anything against Lions, but I think it just gets really difficult, because
Okay.
then I'm looking at the Historical Society, well, they do things for the town
Sure.
too. So I just think it would make it really challenging to.
Okay, a management nightmare.
Yeah,
These are the hard decisions we have to make when
Yeah.
we're in the financial situation. we're in.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, first of all, there's a request that we have to handle. I think we should put the $75 on another agenda possibly, or do we want to decide that this evening? We have the right to do that
we could hold off, none of these are happening,
instantly, so.
so could we hold off on them until we amend the policy?
That would make sense if we
Yeah.
just discussed that,
Well, is that,
review the policy.
You could,
Okay.
if that's what you wanna do. And we should put it out for next week, just so they know.
I'm all for
Ah,
that.
for-
I don't know,
for April
Nicole, you
ninth.
mentioned it, so Mark, you all for that as well?
Thank you, I appreciate the black
Okay.
consideration. Motion to table facilities requests until our April 9th meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Review, discuss, and act, council on aging items for surplus disposal. They are all listed, there's numerous ones, so we just can go as printed in the agenda.
Motion to
Oh,
accept.
if I may pause you for 1 second, Jim Aguirre put forward a request. There's a lot of different things here which may or may not be sold off. So he goes, he would allow that any appropriate items be recycled at the discretion of the surplus auction facilitator. If not, we have to keep it in storage for like
Okay.
$200 a month, so.
How much a month?
$200 per month. So it'd just be easier to, if it's not gonna move and it can be recycled.
Sure.
Why do we pay $200 a month to store it?
For a storage facility, where to keep it.
Don't we keep it at the transfer station in a container?
Do we rent that container? Is that what it is?
Yeah, no.
I don't.
I'd also like to look, yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at why we're,
Yes.
because how much do we even make off of the stuff that we keep
Not a
in
lot.
this?
No, not a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it might be if we send it to the auctioneer and they store it, so
Which comes up, what, twice a year, or?
it comes up whenever we need it, whenever we have enough stuff.
Tom looks like he has information.
Go ahead, Tom, please.
So, last several years, we would
Tom, you gotta go to the mic, I'm sorry. I'm getting direction from Dave, blaming it on Dave.
blame it on my committee.
It's the cable committee.
Yes, for the last several years, we utilized the auction services, Auction International in particular, and the drive was we had vehicles to get rid of, and that increases the percentage that we would get back. When we have items like being entertained tonight, you're lucky to get $5 for the whole lot. Yes, to answer your question, they were stored in a shipping container that's being rented. That rental has been transferred over to the library project. So there's no real ways and means of storage. So when something's just thrown out there because they're being replaced, it should be looked at for disposal, or historically in the past, the selectmen sold it on their own, receiving bids for it, rather than utilizing a larger entity, if that makes sense. I mean, a lot of these things, the whole lot, like this, and that's something else we need to communicate with our boards and committees. Don't just throw it out in the lot and say, okay, come pick this up and put it in storage.
Right. Yep.
No, you gotta plan that, you don't just
Sure.
put it out there, right?
The Council on Aging has numerous requests with us for disposal. It doesn't happen every time, but they've been up here before.
So that container's $2,400 a year, right? $200 a month.
Correct.
And the things we're talking about are toasters and coffee cups and computer monitors and utensils and couches. I don't think we're gonna get $2,400 out of
No,
this stuff.
a lot of that stuff can be recycled properly, disposed of, or if you choose, have like a silent auction, people put in bids, have a close date, and then you would do it that way, and you still get some money.
Do you think we ever get our money's worth out of that trailer, or is that a practice we can end? Do we get our money's worth out of that trailer that holds these items?
No,
No.
not unless you have the vehicles along with it.
Right.
And it doesn't look like we're gonna be replacing vehicles in the near future, so you're not gonna have that luxury.
Right. And some of these items we could still get money from, because we have a metal container, right? Do we get money for that?
Yes, the metal you get money for.
Right. So, might be a break even instead of a net loss if we just kind of threw some of these items out.
And that's crucial on how you vote. Is it going to surplus and waiting for a future end of life? Or is it up to, like Mr. Vitako suggested, leave it up to the auction, whatever that title he gave him, his discretion for disposal or auction.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But
Thank you.
it's how you're voting, your motion.
Okay.
But just to put it in surplus is not a good thing, and our boards and committees need to get on board with that, because we don't have a container there waiting for it.
So it just should be recycled. What can be recycled?
And it should be planned before you put it outside your office.
Okay. So what is the procedure? They call and say, I have X, Y, and Z, come pick it up?
You look out your window, it's on the porch over there,
Right.
that whole, everything you're discussing tonight.
Okay.
Where's it gonna go after tonight?
Yep.
Oh, is I saw the
It's
street
already
sweeper
outside.
out there though.
Yeah.
No, not the street sweeper. Is that
No.
going wrong?
Don't get him nervous.
We own that.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
We probably still have a payment on it.
There's a motorcycle out in the parking lot in the side car.
Yeah, well,
It's out the window.
right.
Just on this same topic,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, for our April 9th meeting, would you guys mind just pointing out in the budget where that trailer is? The
Sure.
$200, just for when we're doing our recommendations.
Yep.
Something worth looking at.
It's a lot of money.
Yes.
And you said something about the library trailer. That's used for,
Tina, that was at the transfer station. The library project took it on for temporary storage, so they had it over this fall.
okay.
Thank you.
Well, we have the attached for the breakdown. I'm all for recycling what we can. When would an auction be if we can dispose of this? Is it a minimum requirement before they come out?
I think,
$5 is $5.
yeah,
I mean, it
I think
stops
we
us
may
from-
have enough. I know Jim sets up the schedule for that, and usually they probably have enough stuff to go through an auction relatively soon.
I'm not concerned
Unless-
about the $5 as much
Yeah,
as
yeah.
I'm concerned about renting
Yeah.
a trailer just to house stuff that we're going to throw out or auction off.
The-
Right, yes. So they say they don't have a minimum to show up on.
Okay.
I do see some towns with like just a desk sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's good, they're making a percentage on it.
Sure.
So if they're making 15% on that desk that's being sold for $5,
It's not worth
what
it.
is your efforts?
Right. Yep.
Right. We also have to pay town employees to move these items and catalog them and turn them over to the auction company.
So what's the best way to award this, Ralph?
I would say to allow this, the items presented as surplus and disposal, and to any items that are not auctioned off can be recycled at the discretion of the auctioneer.
Recycle at the discretion of the auctioneer, or,
The auction facilitator, so,
okay. Did you get all that, Mark?
Close enough, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
go for it.
I'll make a motion to approve the items for surplus from the Council on Aging as directed, and to allow any surplus items to be recycled at the discretion of the auction facilitator.
I'll second
That's
that.
perfect.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approval of the warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrants paid by March 20th, 2025, 30A-25 for $119,216.66, 38B-25 for $90,749. Warrants paid by March 27th, 2025, 39A-25 for $137,744.82, 39B-25 for $219,089.29, and 39C-25 for $1,571.32.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On to minutes. Can we approve these separately? Because I have questions about letter C.
Yeah, I can motion them each separately.
Sure.
And I don't think we have A, right?
You don't, I'm sorry.
Oh, wait,
Just
so
B
not,
and C.
okay, no A. I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes of March 12th, 2025.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Letter C, accept the record of Board of Selectmen emergency meetings from May 11th, 2019, which we have a copy of. Can you explain how this ended up here?
Well, there was some, as I understand it, there was some discrepancy over the minutes. The board at the time refused to approve it. They didn't have enough members to approve it. They went to the AG's office, and the AG's office said to put a designation on the minutes as you see, but at this point, it was never truly accepted. So to make the minutes official, then you're not approving them, but you're just accepting them for the record. So they could be identified as the minutes for the meeting,
So this is just for the record.
just for the
We're
record.
accepting
okay?
them for the record.
Yes.
Does anyone have any concerns?
Just what precipitated, how did it get on our agenda?
There was a citizen complaint, and they wanted to know why these haven't been accepted, and that's how it came to us.
Without to put you on the spot, is this a citizen, is it a Dayton citizen or someone outside the town of Dayton?
Outside the town of Dayton. You're welcome.
I'll make a motion to accept for the record the Board of Selectmen emergency meeting minutes of May 11th, 2019.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes,
Yes,
Mr.
Mitch.
Chairman?
You don't have to call me chairman. Thank you.
He prefers King.
I like fearless leader.
Yes,
I'm
okay.
going to tell you what really happened with those minutes.
Sure.
There were meeting notes written. The meeting took place right here. The meeting was called, if you read the meeting notes, by state officials, all right? I got a call one afternoon on a Saturday saying, that was from Skip Badney, who was Rehoboth Selectman, not chairman, representing the State Agricultural
I
Commission.
remember that.
The state veterinarian had come down, her boss had sent her down, the Commissioner of Ag had sent her down to provide assistance to the two towns. I got the phone call from Skip, because he's the only one, I'm the only one he knew on the board, and said, the vet wants to talk to you, okay. She says, I need a meeting set up immediately, I'm here from the Department of Agriculture, I'm here to help you, but I've got to talk to people. Okay, I said, I don't know if I can get any board members, but I'm gonna call the Board of Health too. Whoever I can get, I will ask them to come. You saw the litany of people that were present at that meeting, including an assistant DA, who was out shopping with his family at the time. And they sat in the parking lot while he came into the meeting. This is how urgent and important it was. So anyhow, we ended up with two selectmen from Dayton. I was one of them. And the chairman of the board from Rehoboth at the time was Jerry. And Jerry and Skip came, the vet came. We had to wait for Sergeant Nichols at the time because he was first on the scene. Again, you can read all about it. What those meeting notes state is absolutely true. No question about it. What happened was Friday morning, the town administrator called me and said, there's going to be a news conference at the police station at noon. District Attorney Quinn has called it. Okay. She says, I'm telling the selectmen not to go. They won't be there. And I thought to myself, this one will be there. I don't have to speak. I'm going to represent the town that put me in office. You don't leave your police department out there totally alone when something of this magnitude happens in this town. So I went just to see the guys, quite frankly, and say, hey guys, how you doing? So forth, so on. I know Mr. Quinn, so we spoke to him briefly. So he said what was going to happen. He says, all right, everybody line up. And he said, you there, and told me where to stand. I was getting ready to leave. And it's like, okay. So I got in line where he told me to stand. He was at the podium, and this was at that meeting room at the police station. We were all behind him, just standing there, quite frankly, staring at the floor. And he talked about the investigation and what was happening and what was going to happen. And so it ended. He said, we were walking out together. I said to him, when I leave here, I'm going to the post office. I'm not answering any questions. I'm not talking to anybody. And if reporters bug me, because they were everywhere, I'm going to tell them, call your office. He said, that's fine, that's fine. So I was there. The interesting thing is, as I'm leaving that station, the chief and a few of the office said to me, Nancy, thank you for showing up. You're the only selectman that was here. I didn't get into the message that had been delivered to the board. They had options. Whether or not they showed up was up to them. I said, I felt I needed to be here. I can't do anything for you guys, but I had to be here. The remark was, Nancy, you always come. All right? That was thank you enough to know that they recognized I was there to support them. Not to talk about any of this. Just, I'm here, guys. What else could I do? So anyhow, that was on the Friday at noon. Well, then Saturday afternoon around 1, I get the call, and that's what's in the meeting notes. So the next thing that happens, on Monday, and we did have members of the Board of Health, Todd Pilling, Animal Control, Chairman of the Board of Health, Tom Pius. I'm thinking of town officials at this point. So anyhow, excuse me, we were sitting around tables here, facing one another. And the vet got all her questions answered. She was mainly concerned about the female that had all the puppies and all that. And there were 2 dogs that were being boarded, so we, but all these animals ended up being kenneled in Rehoboth because we didn't have room. So Rehoboth was concerned. Jerry Schwall, that was chairman of the Board of Selectmen. Their concern was, hey, don't worry about who's paying for what at this point. Our only concern is we don't have any space now. So if we have to take in a dog, we got no place to put it. So turns out Mr. Ferry was on his way back from, I think, Virginia or someplace, and his wife called him, and they were making arrangements to free up space at the our kennel in the North End, at the landfill. The Rehoboth contingent said, we're going to have to put details on our kennel because reporters are climbing over fences and everything else to get pictures of the dogs. They also had to put, I think, a detail at the home of the family in Rehoboth because the reporters were out there, all right? So we knew there were going to be expenses for police details. So we figured out who's going to do what, where the animals are going to go, and there was going to be a meeting on Monday morning when the TA got back to talk about all this. During the discussion, Tom Pius stated to the Rehoboth contingent, don't worry about it. We'll cover the expenses. We're just glad you were willing to take the dogs, okay? Because the animal control officer did not want these animals, some here and some there. And at this point in time, all of the bad dogs had not been identified. There was one more that tests were done on to determine that that was a bad dog too. So when the town administrator returned, everything was blown out of proportion. She felt that I had set her up and that I knew this meeting was coming and I didn't want her there. When she called me, she told me about this news conference, and she said, I'm supposed to go to Maine this weekend. I was going to spend some time with a college friend. I said, I'd go. Nothing's going to happen. You know about the news conference. So when she came back, that was the whole thing. As time progressed, even David Gay ruled it was not a meeting. At which point, I took those notes to the town clerk and said to her, I actually ran these by an attorney from Copeland and Page. They're telling me these are definitely minutes.
Can you back up for a second? The Monday meeting was not a meeting. The official meeting, that was what the TA was referring to? Or Gay and Gay said, Who
So
said
that
this is
group,
not a meeting?
that emergency meeting that was
Yeah.
technically called by state officials
Okay,
was not a meeting.
yeah,
There were no votes taken.
okay.
So I said, the commitment was made by the town of Dayton to pay the bills. And when Tom said that, and we looked at one another, two selectmen made eye contact and nodded. He said, no, I never did that. If you read those minutes, meeting notes, you will see, when I sent it out in draft form, I said, anybody, if I've got this wrong, get back to me. Nobody got back to me. There were no corrections to what I wrote. So anyhow, I took them to the town clerk, said, are these minutes? She said, yes. I said, I can't get them on the agenda. They will not do anything with them. We've made a commitment to the town of Rehoboth. And I'm here and they're not going to pay the bills. This is wrong. So anyhow, she said, let me call the AG's office. So she called the office and the attorney, she sent him up. They looked at him and wrote back, said, definitely it was a meeting. Tell the person who wrote the notes, get this down to one page. We want to know who called it, who was there, and the action that was taken, even though it was not a formal vote, was the agreement to pay the bills. I said, Sue, that's all I want. I don't want Rehoboth out there hanging. That commitment was made. So anyhow, the one-page minutes that you have in front of you are the result, or the, if you will, the condensation of the meeting notes. So Sue tells me, condense this down, this is what they want. Okay, fine. I put it into one page, took it back to Sue. Before she sent it back to Boston, she got a call from the AG's office again. And the attorney she was dealing with knew there were problems here. That attorney took it to the Attorney General, who's now the governor, and the message came back. It went to the top. This was definitely an emergency meeting. And this one-page thing is definitely minutes. They need to be approved. Well, time went by. The first time it went on the agenda, the vote was 1 for and 2 against. And the next time it was put on the agenda, sometime later, it got tabled. And the feeling was that, and I was told point blank by the chairman of the board, number one, they never should have called you, I'm chairman of the board. I said, I only called because he knows me. He doesn't know the other people.
Were the other two called?
Skip called me.
Yeah, but were the other two selectmen called?
I called them
Oh, you did, okay.
because Ken showed up. I left messages for Brett in 2 places. He said I never called him. It's not true. But Ken said, had they called, first of all, he said, Rehoboth should have called him to set up the meeting. And I said, but Rehoboth didn't call the meeting, it was the state. And she said, who do you know in Dayton? He called me. I was a selectman at the time. He also said, had they called me, I would have refused to schedule the meeting because the TA wasn't around. And that isn't how I operate. I would not do that. As a town official, when state officials say, we want an emergency meeting and we're sending somebody to help you, I don't get involved with, well, who's the chairman and who's the whatever. When I got that phone call, I said, give me a phone number, I'll call you right back. I immediately called Tom Pius and I said, Tom, who can you round up? I need Board of Health people. And he said, all right, I'll call this one, this one, this one. And I think he said, call the police department. Yeah, I'll do that. And I said, I'm going to call the other 2 selectmen. So I think they got here around, when I say they, the people from Rehoboth got here maybe around, I don't know, going on 2, it was certainly after 1:30. But anyhow, we kind of all came in bit by bit, and then we heard that Sergeant Nichols had to go to Taunton on a run, but he was coming. And so we waited, and I think the last person that arrived was the assistant district attorney, who had been at the news conference the day before, by the way. And Just so happens his father had been a coach at DR, and I knew his father. I didn't know him. But anyhow, it just dragged on and dragged on and dragged on. And the town clerk notified the district attorney's office that these minutes had not been approved, that they had absolutely refused to approve them. And she said, file the minutes with the meeting notes and put on it, they were never approved. If a member of the public, anybody, requests those minutes and they're not approved, the town will be fined. I brought this up more than once. I got nowhere, all right? It had nothing to do with the facts that occurred in this hall. It was all, if you will, ego, and I don't know what else. I can think of other words, but I won't say them publicly. But the fact of the matter is, I can't imagine any town official telling state people who say, we're coming down to help you, under these conditions, and then to have them say, I wouldn't have scheduled that. They just can't do that. As I said, these have been out there forever. They haven't changed. They got approved at the top. There's no place left to go. And I know other boards have said, but we weren't there. And I said, you don't have to be present to approve minutes. You have to be in the capacity to approve. And if what you've been told to do is accept for the record, that solves the problem. It doesn't mean you were there. It doesn't mean you agree with the contents or the outcome. All it means is this is an official public record that was recognized all the way to the Attorney General's office. And for the sake of Dayton and not wanting to get fined if somebody asks for this, it's a simple procedure. So that's why it's here before you. I would assume my other thought is we need to put this to rest.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's time.
The last time in this town, since I've lived here, that we had a horrendous event, and this one was even worse, was when a man who lived on Elm Street across from the dam, who ran a farm, was murdered in his home by a couple of the people he hired to work on his farm. All right? I remember that. It was awful. I lived on Main Street at the time, right around the corner. Everybody knew this man. You know, just ordinary guy, had his farm and everything. He was murdered in his home by 2 people. They were caught. I mean, and they were, if they're still alive, they're probably still in jail. But all of these things, as time passes, have to be put to rest one way or another. And as long as this sits there with no response, it doesn't get put to rest.
All right, we have that opportunity tonight. Thank you. Okay. Basically, we just need a motion to put this on the record and approve it.
I think I made a motion, did we vote?
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was the discussion part. Okay, so motion has been made and approved. Made and seconded. No more discussion. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Nancy.
Public input. This is not anything as upsetting as the
Okay.
previous talk. I just want to give you all a quick update on solar panels.
Yeah.
So at the stormwater meeting, my new contact is Jonathan Prasad, who was boss of Ahmed Hafez. Tom and Jim did a site visit. They had to wait for the ice and snow to go away because there was a checklist of stuff that had to be done. So at the stormwater meeting, Tom gave the report for Jim that everything was done except for plantings. And when the growing season comes, they will replace the trees or whatever that's died, vegetation, whatever. Tom had a couple of minor recommendations about he wants some of the rocks in the big basin moved, but this is not, everything's working down there.
Okay.
I said to Jonathan Prasad, when are you going to go live? And he says, well, what do you mean by go live? He says, we're testing with National. I said, go live to me means you flip the switch and we're done as far as it's done. So we're looking at beginning mid-April, but they're working with National Grid. There was a delay with National Grid, and I don't really know what that was about. He didn't go into details, but anyhow, for all intent and purposes, unless something totally unexpected happens, Brook Street will be up and generating by hopefully mid-April.
Okay.
They're already on the tax roll, as I told you.
Yep.
Blue Wave, that's the Cabral Farm and Racine Farm on Tremont and Middle. Plantings,
We have agreed
that's
to
all that's
that.
gonna be done there.
Yep. That has nothing to do with going live.
Oh, no, they're live.
Okay.
MACS, which is the one behind Arujo Farms, the only thing we're waiting for there is the as-built plans came in, and Weston and Sampson looked at them and reviewed them, and made the request, we need to see that the calculations for stormwater match the as-built plans. There's been foot dragging there. Now, I know that Pete Warren has been sick, because I heard from him today. He's our contact. But in any case, that one won't be totally okay and have the blessing until Weston and Sampson sees calculations that, in effect, match those as-bills. So, that's where we are with our solar farms. And once again, I gotta say, one of the best things we ever did was to hire a town engineering firm, simply because they're professional. They don't get involved with local stuff, petty stuff, or, oh, that's this. No, no, this is what we do, this is what it is, and we can rely on them,
Sure.
you know? So that's where we are with solar farms.
Okay, great.
Nancy, for solar farms, have, for the assessing side of it, is our head assessor trained on how to do the tax agreements on those?
She sat in on some of them. The main thing is, the good thing is about pilot agreements. As long as we stay with the boilerplate, it's a fill in the blanks things. The part that gets calculated is what we have the consultant for. And this is what he does for a living. So the attachments that go to that, equipment list, plot plan, and the pilot, the tax payment schedule. That's the hard part, and that's what he does. So, if I disappear tonight, you got boilerplate. Pilot for Brook Street it's done. It's been around again. I will get a copy of that to you, the same one that I presented last fall, so you'll have it to go with the warrant. Same dollars, and John Prasad was, oh yeah, we'll give you a pilot agreement. It's the same money, we're not doing this over.
Right.
It's over $800,000 over 20 years, and he didn't argue. I didn't hear that his accountants were happy or anything else. But in any case, the reason we did this is so that we don't negotiate pilot agreements every single time, meaning wording. They can question the tax payment schedule, but we got a professional that does that. And here's where it stands up. So, as I said, we have more come along. It can be done. Yeah.
Thank you.
You gotta always plan for the continuation of government.
Right.
Good comment. Anybody else with public input? I think that's it. Okay. Then, a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.